What's going on? Having a haircut.
Bike.
It's my bike. Yeah.
That's what's up.
We're not in trouble, no.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everyone. It is our first full day in Kentucky, Louisville. Louisville is known for bourbon, which is actually whiskey. They just call it bourbon. So we're going to do a distillery tour. If I can open my bike lock. It's very hot. Not sure where the entrance is. This is the brewery over here. Is the entrance in there?
It is, yeah, right around the corner
cool,
there.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I have a tour booked. Joel, Joel. Yeah.
Ezekiel?
That's the one. Right, you said it right.
Did I do it okay?
You did. You did a good job.
Thank you. You got 15 minutes till the tour starts. Your tour guide will call it out. You'll gather up over here near the elevator, and that's when the tour will start.
Perfect. Right, great. Thank you very much, sir.
My name's Scooter. I'm going to be your tour guide today, and we are a fully functional distillery, so we're putting alcohol vapors into the air. So breathe deep and enjoy those vapors. All right, come on, follow me. We'll go ahead and get started, folks. Actually, 95% of the world's bourbon is made in Kentucky. Now that 95%, Louisville plays a very big part in that. That street out front is being known as Whiskey Row, and we had 50 distilleries in downtown Louisville. Folks, welcome to the grain wheel. Okay, it's a representation of our mash bill or recipe. Now, did everybody see out back those 4 grain silos? 2 of which are corn, 1 is rye, and 1 is malted barley. Corn is another 2 yellow corn from Langley Farms in Shelbyville, Kentucky. The rye comes from Canada, and the malted barley comes from a malt house in Wisconsin. Now, those are all held up back in those 4 grain silos before they go into that black box, the hammer mill. This is a representation of what's inside that black box. Now, they go in a very specific order and ground up before they go into the cooker, which is right behind this gentleman. Now, the corn goes in first at 210 degrees, then the rye goes in at 170. Then the malted barley goes in at 140 degrees. Now, that malted barley is very important to the process because it needs to create an enzyme, and that enzyme starts to break down these starches over the course of 8 to 9 hours. So, after 8 to 9 hours, it's transferred to one of the 8 fermentation tanks. We have 4 on each side. And we use a dry yeast from fermentants. When we walked down here, we saw one of the fermentation tanks that were open, the very first one. They just have added that yeast within the last 3 or 4 hours. Fermenter number 4, 13,500 gallons. Now you see we make every bit of Angel's Envy bourbon in the entire world right here at this facility. So if you see a bottle in London, or you see a bottle in Australia, or you see a bottle in Japan, it was made all right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Anybody know what this is? Moonshine, new make, hillbilly love juice, whatever you want to call it, all right? It's your lucky day. I'm going to come around, I'm going to pour some in your hands. But leave a little bit on there because I'm going to show you an old moonshiner's trick. So, now, okay, what we're going to do is quite simple. We're just going to rub our hands together. Now, the first smell we're going to get is corn. Right? And the last smell we're going to get is a hayride. So if you're a moonshiner that goes to Kentucky, you just want to know what the mash bill recipe is, just rub your hands together, right? Okay. Now, has anybody seen that trick done before?
No.
Anybody? Now, if you go to another distillery and they do that, they stole that from me. Right? You tell Scooter says they can't do that, right? So,
I want some more of that ethanol.
Right, right. But it doesn't, when you taste it, it doesn't taste that strong.
No, it tastes like ethanol.
It does?
It hits me, yeah, for sure. It tastes like pure
You know your
alcohol.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
How you know so much?
About bourbon. It basically came from Ireland and Scotland.
Gotcha.
And remember, we all came from the same place.
Okay.
Americans just said F you England and they came here.
Gotcha. That's actually true.
That's what happened. And now we're going to see the room where the bourbon gets transferred into barrels. Thank you, man.
a lot of people don't realize that this is really, the plant itself is just under 10 years old. The building itself obviously is quite a bit older, so it's probably going to be one of the cleaner facilities you're ever going to be in. So
we're moving now to the barreling room where they change the proof.
Welcome to the barrel fill room. Now we talked about being 138 proof. this is where we add that magic water and proof it down to 124.7 before it goes into one of our barrels.
What's the difference between rye and bourbon? What's those extra 2 years make the difference?
What we do with that, we feel like that the rye can be very hot, peppery, or minty, so we'll age it a little bit longer, and we will finish it in a Caribbean rum cask for nearly 18 months to help mitigate some of that heat and pepperiness of the rye. So, all right, now folks, welcome to the bottling line. Now, we do somewhere around 13,200 bottles per shift, and we run 2 10-hour shifts. Obviously, we're off on the holiday today, approximately 26,000 bottles a day. That's about 15 to 20 minutes worth with Jim Beam, but for us, it's all day because right behind this gentleman right here from Texas, we actually all the labels on by hand. Now, the front part of the line right here, you'll actually see, well, you can't see, you're going to have to use your imagination, but this is where the bottles are picked up, and we'll actually inject bourbon into them to clean the bottles. Okay, so there's no cross-contamination. This is a little unusual. Not many distilleries do it that way.
The assembly line's shut today because it's a holiday, but we're going to the finishing room where they get the bottles.
I always like to talk about that a little. Now, this is the barrel dump room. After 6 years for the bourbon and 8 years for the rye, the bourbon is going to be brought back in the barrel onto this trough. We're going to drill the bung out. Okay? At that point, everything is filtered out. This is the material that will come out of the barrel itself. So, I'll show you kind of an example. You can still kind of just dry it out a little bit after a couple of days. When it first comes out, it's just dripping wet. Get a little bit of that. So, we're going to go ahead and take our bourbon and put it in these port wine barrels for 6 months and let it finish. Now, this is just a very small portion of what we have. Now, our rye is put into Caribbean rum casks to finish for 18 months to mitigate that heat. So, those Caribbean rum casks come from Barbados. But since we have a new relationship with Bacardi, we're going to start using more of those barrels.
So we are now walking down to the tasting room to taste some bourbon.
Okay, so on the left-hand side is our 86.6 proof Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and we're going to move it around just a little bit. It's a premium bourbon. Do not mix this with Dr. Pepper, all right? Smells wonderful, right? We want you to take a small sip. It's an acclimation sip. It's called a Kentucky Chew. You're holding it for 10 seconds in your mouth, moving it over your tongue and underneath it. And you know you've done it right when your tongue is tingling and the inside of your mouth is tingling also. Now, do most people here drink their bourbon on the rocks, or do you like it neat? You like it neat? Okay, depends on the bourbon. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Still a lot more milk, right? Almost totally different. Now, when you take your first sip, you'll really notice the difference. So go ahead and take a sip. You may notice it's a little bit sweeter. Maybe you can get a little bit of oak coming back into that. We're going to pick up that rye right now. And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
It smells very different.
It smells like, yeah, French toast. Maybe
Completely different.
So we're going to get 2 sips. So go ahead and take 1 sip, and I think you'll get a lot of butterscotch. We do a lot of training around here. Every Sunday night we drink a lot of bourbon just to make sure we're sharp, right? The rye is $97 and the bourbon is $67. Now the difference is we age it for 2 years, and rye itself all comes from Canada, so it's actually a little bit more expensive to buy the rye.
That's way better.
We cannot grow the rye in Kentucky. It's just too hot down here. I appreciate you all a wonderful group, and I feel very critical we're able to spend some time with us today. Thank you very much.
Well, that was a good experience. The first one that I had, which was the normal one, was very light, had lots of mellow undertones. And then I had the second one, and it was very like sweet, like a maple syrup. Banging. Can't complain. Right, so Kentucky is also known not just for bourbon, but for one other thing, obviously KFC. So we're going to a great Kentucky fried chicken spot where they've got different spice levels. It's called Royals Hot Chicken. Chicken and steak, my go-to foods, to be honest. Yeah. Hello. Hi. The fried chicken sandwich and the heat, what's the heat level? Is it like stupid hot? Is that like using like Carolina Reapers and stuff?
The top one is, yeah.
I like it spicy, but I don't want to die, so what's good? Okay, I'll go with some heat. Okay. I'll get some mac and cheese if you recommend it.
Mac and cheese is pretty good.
Cool. Some heat. It's good.
Yeah, I like this place because like the actual chicken itself is pretty good. It's not just the sauce that they slather on.
A bit of mac and cheese.
Chicken's juicy, it's good.
Boom, done. So for everyone wondering where you're going to get good fried chicken in Kentucky or Louisville, for matter of fact, Royals, it's going to come clutch with some good food. Maybe let me know in the comments if you want to see me do some more food reviews, burger restaurants, chicken restaurants. Maybe we could find the best burger in America.
So I'm Joseph. What we're gonna do is just pretty standard cut, really.
Standard
you know?
cut. It wants to look like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, maybe not in the face.
So one of the questions that I ask most people that let me cut their hair is that, what has been one of your greatest adventures in life so far?
So when I was like 20, I was doing like a foreign exchange kind of program. I went to China. You know, I had done, they have those little things in the back of the headrest on the planes where you can watch movies. Well, you can also do like learn Chinese. So I was doing that, and I learned all the airport words and a couple other things. But this flight's 15 hours, so by the time I get there, I mean, I've forgotten all of it. Yeah. I get to the Shanghai International Airport, which is, everything's in English. You know, there's no trouble getting around with my complete lack of Mandarin skills. So then I'd take the smaller flight to Jinan, the actual city I was going to, where the university is. Okay, it's not the same there. So, you know, I get there at like 2 a.m. I mean, everything's closed. There's no one around. There's no taxis. I eventually managed through like, you know, improv sign language to like haggle with this teenager to take me and like several other people to our destinations. And I was like, man, I know I'm getting ripped off right now. But yeah, I get there, I'm trying to find the dorm. There's no one around. It's just midnight in the middle of the summer. I finally find my way to like a building, and it says foreign students dormitory on it. There's this girl that just comes out of her room coincidentally. Oh, looks like you just got here. I was like, yeah, no shit. She was like, all right, you don't have a place to stay. If you come kill this cockroach in my room, you have a place to stay. I was like, all right, bet. So I went in there. I never killed the cockroach, but you know, we just get to talking and stuff. So I didn't get sorted out until the next day with my room, until there was someone working the desk and all. But seriously, that whole series of events, I mean, that's a very, very shortened version.
It's just randomly meeting people.
Yeah.
What would you say the greatest challenge you've had to face in life so far?
Yeah, it wasn't like something I had to do per se in terms of like, oh, you got to get through college or whatever. It's gonna sound a bit odd, but like coming to terms with the fact that I'm not like invincible or immortal, you know, that I do age, and it's kind of just, it's an odd thing. It was maybe within the past couple years. I think I'm just now getting to an age where, you know, injuries can be permanent. I permanently injured my back picking up a computer. I mean, that's insane. I mean, it doesn't hurt every day, but it'll flare up, right? And it's just something so stupid, but I just picked it up the wrong way. But you know, it's also seeing your parents get a little bit older, and like obviously I knew from a logical standpoint,
yeah, of course,
this happens, but seeing it, experiencing it,
very different.
and like coming to terms with it, yeah, totally different.
Oh, God.
How's it looking?
I can't believe that. I can't believe it didn't break.
It's a quality tool.
While we're coming to the end of your haircut,
Yeah.
what would you say? Imagine you had a 15-year-old version of yourself. What advice would you... I've got butt fingers today, I'll tell you that. What advice would you give that kid if you could speak to them?
It'd be, you know, imparting life lessons with words is pretty difficult. Instead of trying to, you know, tell them everything I've gained since then, I might just tell them, you know, invest in Amazon, Apple, and buy Bitcoin. And just like make my life a bit easier.
Yeah.
At least, you know, kind of relax.
That's the best, that's the funniest answer someone's ever given me. Most people are like, oh yeah, I'd say just keep trying. You're like, no, invest in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, that'll
that's the logical answer.
It'll help.
Yeah.
It won't solve all your problems, but it'll help.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. It's looking solid.
What's going on?
Cutting
a haircut.
Bike.
It's my bike. Yeah.
That's what's up.
I guess it's not us.
We're not in trouble, no?
No, we're trying to figure out something. That's all. It's
my,
your bike,
it
though?
is my bike.
You got an ID on you by chance?
Yeah, of course.
We just got to run with a bike, so I'm just checking it out.
I've got my driving license.
That's fine. That's perfect. So you just tour the world and then just cut hair just for...
I'm just, they're all...
We just got a call. I ain't trying to bug you.
No, you're all good.
But yeah, somebody called on you.
That's fine, not a problem. Someone's cutting hair outside. No, honestly, it's all
But
good.
no, that's why I just came to check you out.
Cool.
Sorry about
No, don't be silly.
Good. I hope you enjoy yourself.
Y'all can keep doing what y'all doing.
Thanks very much, man.
Sorry about
No, you're all good,
you're
no
good.
stress. Wow, 2 police officers.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Someone cool, love it.
I know. An interesting ending as well.
Someone cool. Wow, people are so f***ing bored.
Yeah, but what?
Maybe.
That's why I'm like, I'm looking around now. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
maybe.
the hell was it?